When it comes to Dragon Ball power scaling, putting GT against Super has been done ever since the release of Battle of Gods, and nowadays a lot of people tend to have a very twisted view of how the two fare against each other, to the point where people generally believe that the likes of base Goku from Resurrection F can actually defeat anyone in GT and so it. A lot of flawed scaling in this fandom comes from not only a lack of attention to GT's power, but also from severe misunderstanding of Dragon Ball Super scaling, since a lot of people tend to want to highball their verses as high as possible, and Super being the brand new Dragon Ball, a lot of people want to misrepresent the feats and scaling in the show to make them seem way stronger than they actually are. All this is to say that while a lot of people are very quick to call this a one-sided beatdown, I beg to differ, and today I'll be going into an in-depth explanation on how the two shows fare against each other by discussing Goku from Dragon Ball Super against Goku from Dragon Ball GT. I'll be using the anime version of Dragon Ball Super Goku, including the Broly movie and the superhero movie. And of course, since this is going to be a very hot and controversial take, I'm asking you to just watch the video with an open mind and to remove all your bias when watching this video. We will be scaling them using three different methods, the first method being a Crossverse method, where we just take the best feats they have and compare them to each other. The second method will be Inverse method, where we measure the characters' level of power relative to the strongest Buu Saga characters, and compare how they stack against each other in that chain. The third method would be based purely on war, where we discuss who should logically be stronger based on war and nothing else. There will also be a fourth method, which would be based purely on how the franchise officially acknowledges the power of the characters in the form of promotional material, guidebooks, games, and other spin-offs. I'll be leaving timestamps for every method, although I recommend watching the entire video because it includes a lot of never before seen scaling, never before seen scans, and a lot of underused Dragon Ball GT and Dragon Ball Super scaling and arguments. Before we begin, I would like to make a distinction between the Super continuity and the GT continuity. Super follows Dragon Ball Kai, while GT follows the original Dragon Ball Z anime and is directly stated to be a sequel to it, and it also follows most of the movies. GT is acknowledged to be connected to most of the movies by counter sources, and even the official Dragon Ball website directly states that GT Goku has fought all the movie villains in the past. And while the timeline may seem very questionable, it's not uncommon for Dragon Ball to have plot holes and writing issues, and we already see Garlic Jr. in the Dragon Ball Z anime and Cooler in Dragon Ball GT anyway, so we know that the movies are canon even if they don't seem to perfectly line up with each other. And with that comes the very obvious elephant in the room, which is that Kai and Z scale differently. For example, any feat that Dragon Ball Z had in the original anime that Dragon Ball Kai removed is not carried to Super. Any statement that Dragon Ball Z had in the anime does not carry to Dragon Ball Super if Kai removed or changed it. And similarly, if Kai added any new additional statements, they don't carry to GT because they weren't part of the original Z anime. Of course, this is mostly going to benefit Dragon Ball GT considering the sheer amount of feats and statements that Dragon Ball Z had which upscaled the verse and Kai removed. So a lot of things that we see in the Toyverse, which is how I'm going to refer to the Z anime, won't count for Dragon Ball Super. And for the sake of saving time, I would like to note that I won't be going into extreme detail on some of the topics that I've discussed on this channel previously, so I'll just leave the evidence on the screen and give you a brief explanation and send you a link to the original video, and you can check that out if you want to see a more convincing and more in-depth explanation with more evidence. But this video is still going to contain evidence for every single claim that I'm making. There won't be a single thing I'm saying without sufficient evidence behind it. Starting with Dragon Ball GT, we have the fact that Goku scales massively above Buuhan, who in the anime was more than capable of causing a massive chain reaction that would have wiped out the entire universe. Through breaking dimensional barriers and bending space, Buuhan is capable of letting parallel dimensions, at least the size of galaxies, enter and crush the universe. To create a fissure in space this massive is an insane feat, and while not necessarily universal in my opinion, is impressive nonetheless, especially seeing how he did this by just screaming. In Fusion Reborn, Gogeta's key is also said to be the equivalent of a Big Bang, and that's the event that literally created all the physical matter in the universe and made space-time itself expand infinitely. And of course this is supported by the fact that we literally see that the explosion dwarfed the cosmology and changed the very background of the afterlife with its heat. This would make Gogeta's mere presence universal plus. And one very overlooked detail is the fact that Janemba and his barriers managed to tank this explosion from a very close range, which would mean that Janemba's barriers and Janemba himself are both universal Universal Plus, and in contrast, Super Saiyan 3 Goku's kick was actually able to hurt Janemba, which means that Super Saiyan 3 Goku would also be Universal Plus in that movie. But even if you don't believe that Fusion Reborn is canon to GT, this would still scale to it, as Fusion Reborn Gogeta is actually acknowledged to be relative to Toy vs Vegito by Shueisha, implying that a fight between them would be good, and with Vegito potentially having the capacity to last over 30 minutes against him. Even if you don't believe that GT is canon to the movies, GT Goku would still scale to just about any movie exclusive feat just based on this, given the fact that he scales to Toy vs Vegito, who has scaling to Fusion Reborn Gogeta, who is essentially the strongest and fastest movie character. Note that this claim was made exclusively about the original Z anime Vegito, since Kai wasn't a thing back then, so there is no proof that the nerfed Vegito from Kai would have any sort of scaling to Fusion Reborn Gogeta. Furthermore, we have Baby's Revenge Deadball, which was so powerful that it sent Goku to Suguroku space. This is really interesting because Suguroku space is located within the subspace, which is outside of all of existence and outside all of the timelines, not belonging anywhere in the world. Even more impressively, we have Hellfighter 17 and Base 17 merging the Afterlife and the Living Universe together and changing their very walls of nature. It's explained several times that two 17s managed to attach the two worlds and combine them. This goes beyond creating a portal, since the worlds were still combined even after the said portal was closed. And unlike in Fusion Reborn, even those villains that were still in Hell had lost their halos and were said to have come back to life. Even as far as the end of GT, they are said to have come back to life. This suggests that the very walls of the afterlife were completely altered. This would easily be a universal to wall multiversal feat depending on where you scale the macrocosm. Another feat is GT Goku very casually shaking Hell, and he also scales above Fusion Reborn Goku, who shook the entire afterlife by going Super Saiyan 3. Then we have Omega Shenron, who just by existing is capable of destroying all of existence. It's implied that the Kaioshins had nowhere to run, which is massive because in GT we've seen that Kibito is capable of accessing the subspace after Goku broke out of Sugoku space, implying that Omega's minus energy would even be capable of reaching and destroying the subspace itself. Moving on to Dragon Ball Super, Goku has his feats where he clashed with Beerus and he supposedly threatened the macrocosm through a chain reaction. It's noteworthy that Goku and Beerus did not threaten space itself, as even Elder Kai notes that the universe will become an empty void, which is by definition an empty space. So they only threatened the physical universe. And not only was this a shared feat, but both of them were unable to survive the destruction and would be completely destroyed by it as directly stated, which is consistent with Elder Kai saying that those waves were growing stronger on their own as they traveled through space, making them more so a butterfly effect. We then have Zamasu, who is said to be able to become one with the universe over time. This can be interpreted as him literally fusing with the universe and its space-time continuum itself, although it can also be interpreted as him simply physically spreading all across the universe, which is the better interpretation given that the episode preview by Shueisha itself implies that this is what he was doing. Also note that the reason that Zamasu appeared in the past is simply because he used portal creation to time travel to the past the same way Black did, as verbatim stated, and we even see the same portal behind Zamasu's with Black. The next big feat is Goku and Jiren shaking the World of Void. This can be interpreted as them shaking the dimension itself, or simply them shaking the contents of the dimension. It's noteworthy that the dimension being infinite is actually mistranslation, and we actually see that it's positively curved, which means that it's finite, and that the dimension is actually said to be completely empty aside from the structures that the Grand Priest made. So overall, this feat is not impressive whatsoever, considering we don't know the size of the dimension, and the fact that there are only 3 to 4 structures for them to shake to begin with. Finally, we have Gogeta and Broly, whose power messed with the dimensional boundaries and sent them to another dimension. It's noteworthy that they didn't destroy the world, considering the fact that we literally see that everything, including the Earth, is fine, so we can determine that the shattering screen effect is simply there for show and it doesn't represent the world being destroyed. With that same logic, we also can't conclude that the dimension they entered got destroyed once they exited it. Now, how do these feats compare? For starters, Gogeta and Broly's feat may seem impressive, but let's compare it in contrast to things done in Z and GT. In GT, Baby's Revenge Deadball was so strong that it sent Goku to Sugoku space, a realm completely cut off from existence itself, and is within the subspace. So by himself, Baby Vegeta already performed a feat on the same caliber, if not even greater, than what Broly and Gogeta together did. And messing with the dimensional barriers isn't a good feat, considering the fact that we literally see that Buu Saga characters are able to overcome them by simply shouting. We can similarly compare Zamasu's feat to 17's feat. While Zamasu was vaguely going to become one with the universe, that by itself scaled scales nowhere, especially when we don't know what exactly that entails, and we don't have a time frame for it, since he was killed shortly after managing to just cover the Earth itself and the space around Earth. And even assuming that he was going to become one with space-time itself, this is still massively behind the 217s, casually fusing the entire macrocosm and altering its very walls of nature. Keep in mind that Zamasu is at least Super Saiyan Blue level, arguably Vegeta Blue level, meanwhile within GT, Hellfighter 17 and Regular 17 were only about as strong as base Vegeta. So the difference in power speaks for itself, and while Goku and Beerus threatened to destroy the physical universe through a chain reaction, Buhan threatened the same by himself, and he was also affecting space-time itself. And on top of that, Buhan is implied to be able to survive the destruction, whereas Beerus and Goku wouldn't be able to survive it. So the Battle of God's Feet scales nowhere near what the 217s did, what Omega was going to do, and even what Fusion Reborn Gogeta did by just appearing. In fact, Super Saiyan 3 Goku's kick from Fusion Reborn has better scaling than the entire Battle of God's Feet. Not to mention the Battle of God's arc statements being heavily contradicted and poorly written, given the fact that Elder Kai claims that those waves apparently have the power to destroy the universe in 3 shots, which means that one wave has the power to destroy 1/3 of the universe, and yet it caused nowhere near even solar system level damage. And no, key control absolutely does not explain this, considering the fact that Goku had no control over the waves, and considering the fact that the Daisenshu verbatim states that shockwaves have nothing to do with ki to begin with. Even if you accept the headcanon that Goku was somehow controlling them after they were released, which was never stated anywhere, this doesn't explain anything to begin with, because Elder Kai would be referring to those same key-controlled shockwaves, and he would be saying that those same key-controlled shockwaves would be 1/3 universal, and yet that's contradicted, so regardless the contradiction stands. But either way, it doesn't matter, because even if we give the best possible interpretation for this feat, Gogeta from Z is already scaling light years above this. And finally, we have the shaking feats, in which GT absolutely takes this as well, considering the fact that base GT Goku casually and accidentally shook L, which is as white as the macrocosm according to the map, and it's filled with matter. Meanwhile, Goku and Jiren shook Realm with like 3 to 4 structures inside of it. And I want to put something into perspective here. Super Saiyan 3 Goku's ki in Fusion Reborn was so strong that it shook violently a structure on the other side of the afterlife. Meanwhile, Goku and Jiren's ki was so weak that it didn't even visibly shake the arena or the seats next to the arena, which were a couple 100 meters away at most. So this is really the difference in power we are talking about here. Those feats aren't even close to being within the same level. And just because I know that people will bring this up, I know that Beerus and Champa do have vague universe-destroying statements, however this is so useless because we don't have a time frame and we don't know a method. Especially given the fact that within Super it's established that the characters are capable of creating butterfly effect shockwaves, which grow stronger on their own and are capable of swapping back both Goku and Beerus and making them scream even at their starting point, which is their weakest point. So given the lack of detail, there is nothing to say that Beerus and Champa won't be using those same chain reaction shockwaves, which they won't scale to. And just to put this further into perspective, this is so useless because we have countless other Toyverse characters which have the same statements of being able to destroy the universe. For example, Broly, Hirudegarn, Wood, etc. It goes on. So being able to destroy the universe in an unspecified way means nothing. So until Super gives us more clues on how they'll destroy the universe and how much time they would need, this is literally useless and it means no more than Z Broly being able to destroy the universe. So overall, in the Crossverse department, GT definitely beats Super, and by a long shot it's not even close. And by the way, even Toshio, a writer from the Dragon Ball Super anime, has come out to say that an early tournament of power Goku is unable to destroy a universe by himself, something that Toyverse Vegito should be able to do, so there is that too. Next up we will be looking at speed. In Super, without a doubt, the greatest feats of speed are Whis traveling through galaxies in minutes, and the shockwaves from Battle of Gods Arc reaching the Kaioshin realm in seconds. The issue is that Goku scales to neither of those, as Whis is by far faster than himself, with Whis confirming that he's the fastest flyer in the universe. On top of the Daizenshu confirming that Whis is using a special ability to travel as opposed to relying on his own raw speed. On top of the movies depicting Whis as traveling through some sort of a wormhole. And as far as the shockwaves go, we know that they were gaining power until they surpassed Goku, and in Dragon Ball, increases in power equate to increases in speed as well, meaning that there is nothing to suggest that Goku scales to the wave's speed. So really the best thing we have for Goku in Dragon Ball Super is the fact that as Ultra Instinct he should be stronger than Beerus and also faster, and Beerus was able to cross solar systems and potentially galaxies in over a minute or two, which would grant him massively faster than light plus speed, while Beerus being below Ultra Instinct Goku is the debatable, and I can definitely see an argument that Beerus is actually stronger and was never surpassed given the Broly movie and later events. For the sake of this video, I'll be generous to Goku and say that Ultra Instinct Goku is indeed beyond Beerus. And well, this would be in the millions to potentially billions of times the speed of light, and is certainly fast. It's nowhere near as fast as Shin's Kai, which is said to be able to travel anywhere in the universe from any point in an instant. And by the way, it's also said to be able to travel from the Kaioshin realm, which is outside the universe, to any point in the universe instantly as well. This means that in an instant, this ability can traverse the entire Dragon Ball macrocosm and more, which would be at the very least quintillions to sextillions of times the speed of light. The same Kai was slower than Baby Vegeta's Revenge Dead Ball, or the impact it generated with the shockwave of the blast catching up to Shin while he was traveling using Kai. Naturally, Baby Vegeta's normal attacks should scale to this and higher given the fact that this was just the after effect of his attack. And this same Baby Vegeta was getting completely blitzed by Super Saiyan 4 Goku from the Baby Saga. This level of speed is consistent given the fact that even low level characters within GT such as Pan and even Video, who is literally one of the lowest level characters in the verse, are shown being capable of dodging the energy of Goku's Spirit Bomb, with Pan also being able to casually observe and touch it. This is really interesting because both Goku and King Kai imply that they will be asking for energy from every quadrant of the universe, and even Pan states its energy from all over the universe. What's also notable is the fact that the GT spaceship, which would be at least as fast as the Namek spaceship, needed days to travel to some of those planets. And the Namek spaceship was capable of traveling half the universe in 6 days, so this really puts into perspective just how far away some of those planets that they took energy from are, and that energy was able to cross the distance to Earth in the matter of seconds. Therefore, this energy managed to cross distances equal to at least the radius of the universe in seconds, and this would essentially scale to the entire GT cast, even at the start of the show, given the fact that again, both Pan and even Video are able to react to that. So in terms of the speed scaling, GT Goku also takes this by landscape, and it's not even close. Of course, there are the fanboys that will try to claim that Super Goku has infinite speed because he can move in the World to Void or because he broke out of his time skip. However, that's completely wrong, as the World to Void is blatantly set and shown to have time, and breaking his time skip ability was not due to having infinite speed, but it was due to the fact that he was only able to stop Goku for less time than normal due to Goku far outclassing him, which is shown even in the anime with Goku initially being stopped and then the time skip running out. Other issues with this is that this argument implies that Goku became faster than time, and this is not possible given the fact that Kaioken times 10 is only a 10 times speed increase according to the data books, which is nowhere near enough to make Goku go from being slower than time to being faster than time. That would literally require an infinite speed gap. Another very important thing is the fact that heat is slower than time. We know this because otherwise he wouldn't be relying on the time skip. So if you claim that Goku is faster than time, that would literally have to require Goku to be more than infinitely faster than Heat. Yet we know that's not true given the fact that Goku and Heat were moving next to each other and they were moving at each other with almost relative speed. And even as far as the tournament of power, when Heat should be as strong as Super Saiyan Blue Goku, the same Goku you claim is faster than time, Heat is still relying on a time skip, meaning again, Heat is slower than time. And even so, Heat was able to take on a Jiren that was using just as much power against him as he was using against Ultra Instinct Goku, and Heat was able to keep up with that same Jiren's speed, which means that Goku, as Ultra Instinct, is not infinite speed and not faster than time. That's just idiotic to say. But let's not forget that GT is part of the Toyverse continuity, which is much faster than the Kai continuity. A great example is a feed that was cut off from Kai, where Super Saiyan Goku and Frieza and Namek were too fast for King Kai to see, making them faster than the spaceships that they used to travel through the universe in geeks. We also have Toyverse Goku shaking the afterlife. This is a big speed feat, as Goku was in Hell, which is at the bottom of the afterlife, and he shook Grand Chaos Planet, which is near the top of the afterlife. Since the afterlife is at least as big as the universe, if not bigger, this would mean that Goku's energy traveled and affected planet that's at least universe distances away from him in the matter of seconds. And this alone scales above anything Super Goku scales to, and really shows just how one-sided GT vs Super actually is when you leave out all the bias. In fact, it's so unfair that we can realistically scale GT Goku beyond Super Goku even before GT began. But this isn't over yet, because we have the fact that Battle of Gods arc is canonical to GT. We have multiple timelines, video games, and even officials from Dragon Ball stating that Battle of Gods takes place before GT and has canonically happened in the GT timeline. This means that how you you scale Battle of Gods arc isn't even relevant anymore because anything you have for Battle of Gods arc that you can use to benefit Super Goku can also be used to benefit GT Goku because it's canonical to GT. So even though I think the feats from Battle of Gods are useless, the feats are very bad, I still believe that it doesn't matter in the end because again, GT Goku would simply scale to this. But this is small meat. Now let's get to the big meat of the scaling, and this part is very juicy. Dragon Ball GT has scaling to Dragon Ball Heroes. As some of you may have seen on my channel in the past, in the Dragon Ball Heroes manga, GT Gogeta fought Zeno Gogeta and while toying was easily overpowering him and even tanked a Kamehameha from Zeno Gogeta. If we turn to the arcades, they confirm that this is indeed the GT version of Gogeta and not some other Gogeta that's just a lookalike. It's confirmed both on the physical arcade and in-game that these are the GT versions of the characters. We also have the openings and story for this mission, showing us events from Dragon Ball GT, which makes it very clear that this is supposed to be indeed GT Goku and the GT version of the characters. So what this means is that GT Gogeta is stronger than Zeno Gogeta and in turn GT Goku would be stronger than Zeno Goku. To put this into perspective, Demigra, who Zeno Goku scales to, has threatened to destroy timelines, and Chronoa, who base Zeno Goku scales above, has managed to hold all of existence together by herself. And as far as speed goes, being able to destroy a whole timeline is by itself a very impressive feat, although we don't have an exact time frame. But if you want something more precise, we have the fact that Heroes, Vegeta and Trunks in their base forms were able to travel from Universe 7 to Universe 6 in base form without using teleportation devices. This puts the super version of Whis to shame, as he needs hours to travel to a planet that's merely in between the two universes, and that's with a special ability. This is such an immense level of power that I don't think many of you understand just how insane this is, because we have the fact that in Super the best of feats is Zeno destroying Trunks' world. Now there is a debate whether this refers to the timeline or the universe, even though it's very clearly implied it's the universe, and that it was simply vaporized and not destroyed on a space-time continuum level, but let's play ball. Let's say Zeno destroyed the space-time continuum, the whole timeline, everything. This is still nowhere near GT Goku scaling above a chronoa that can hold all of existence, which includes hundreds to thousands of timelines. And the Zeno to GT scaling does not actually end here, because we have the fact that in the Dragon Ball Heroes manga, the pan that becomes a time patroller is actually shown to be from the GT timeline. This is very useful because the same pan is shown being able to hurt Shroom, who managed to withstand balls from Super Saiyan Zeno Gogeta. Her attacks are shown being as fast as Zeno Goten's, with Zeno Goten having relative speed to Zeno Dabura, who has relative speed to Zeno Base Goku. So overall, we can argue that GT Pan has similar speed to that of Zeno Base Goku, and similar power to that of Super Saiyan Zeno Gogeta. Even if we want to truly wallball her, she should be at least relative to Zeno base Goku in terms of power, given the fact that again she was able to hurt Shroom, especially seeing how the Demon Realm warriors are shown being able to one-shot people like Zeno Vegeta, who is relative to Zeno Goku. We also have the fact that we see Pan being able to hurt Salsa in the arcade openings. The same Salsa is capable of blocking attacks from Zeno Buu, who was beating base Zeno Goku, and Goku also states that a base form Kamehameha won't work on Salsa. What this means for GT scaling is that GT Pan scales to Chronoa holding all timelines and preventing their collapse, and also to Zeno Trunks and Zeno Vegeta's inter-universal crossing speed. Since GT Pan scales below the likes of Goten, Gohan, Noob, Vegeta and Goku, even in their base forms, this means that all of these characters would scale to these feats as well. The same feats we've established surpass everything in Super, including Zeno. Of course, there is the argument I've seen Super fanboys throw back in 2018, where they say that Master Ultra Instinct Goku is stated to be the strongest Goku in history, therefore he must be stronger than Zeno Goku and Heroes Goku. However, this statement is very vague at best, considering it doesn't specify anything by history. There is no proof that it's referring to other continuities, given how GT Goku, Zeno Goku and Heroes Goku are all considered to be Gokus from different histories. There is more than just one history. Goku being the strongest in his own history means nothing. In fact, we can use contextual evidence to determine that this only applies to Super's continuity, as the same statement was was made regarding Jigen, with the guy calling him the strongest opponent in history, but when it goes into detail, it merely said that Jiren is stronger than enemies Goku has faced up until that point, such as Vegeta, Frieza, Cell, and Buu, and then knows that Jiren is stronger than a previous version of Ultra Instinct Goku. So essentially all this statement really means is that it was saying that Goku, once he awakens this new form, is at his strongest. He surpasses his previous Ultra Instinct. Since this guidebook was released before the episode where Goku awakens Master Ultra Instinct, it simply means that they felt the need to explain how strong this new form will be in the future episodes by saying that this Goku is much stronger than the previous version of Ultra Instinct Goku, this is a new version, this is upgraded. That's all this means. It doesn't refer to GT Goku, it doesn't refer to Heroes Goku, it doesn't refer to Xeno Goku. Now we can finally move on to the inverse scaling method, starting with GT. In GT's continuity, a suppressed Super Buu is said to be above the likes of enraged Buuhan, who has scaling over base Vegito. Super Saiyan 2 Goku was able to put a fight against him. This is consistent with Rick and base Goku being able to take on a copy of Ultimate Gohan that is said to be just as strong as the original Gohan, and him also being able to overpower Super Buu as a Super Saiyan, and even them stating that Goku is strong enough to kill him. Therefore, a Super Saiyan 3 Goku is at the very minimum 4 times stronger than base Vegito in the Toyverse continuity, and we can scale him way higher given the fact that he was at less than 1% when he fought Ultimate Gohan, and this would entail that Super Saiyan Goku is over 100 times stronger than Ultimate Gohan, and as Super Saiyan 3, he would be over 800 times stronger than Ultimate Gohan. Since Buuhan is less than twice as strong as Ultimate Gohan, that would mean that Super Saiyan 3 Goku would be more than 400 times stronger than Buuhan, or in other words, over 8 times stronger than Super Vegito. And it's noteworthy that Goku never went full power until he fought Kid Buu, meaning that he was even stronger during the final fight. This is not inconsistent with the scaling, because we know that Goku and Vegeta got stronger through Zenkai boosts. We literally have a statement that states that Vegeta got much stronger when he was revived. And on top of that, we also know that Goku held back until the Kid Buu fight. He was hiding his true power to let the next generation handle it. Moving on to GT, Ryudo's ki is described as being impossibly large by Trunks, who has sensed Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Kid Buu's power, which is consistent with Goku noting that Ryudo is stronger than Buu. And base Goku was able to overpower that same Ryudo, putting him above 4 times base Vegito Low Bolt and 8 times Super Vegito High Bolt. That would entail that the Super Saiyan 3 he is over 32 times stronger than Super Vegito Low Bolt and over 3200 times stronger than Super Vegito High Bolt. This would also entail that Ryudo's ki is greater than God Essence Goku's, whose energy Trunks has sensed before, making Ryudo stronger than Super Saiyan God Goku. Matter of fact, since Goku in GT's continuity has absorbed the God Essence since before the end of Z, that means that even at the start of GT he was at least that strong, with him getting over 50 times stronger by the time he reached planet M2, making base Goku against Ryudo, while severely wallbowed, over 50 times stronger than Super Saiyan God Goku from the Battle of Gods arc. Although the Vegito scaling is way more relevant, so we'll focus on that. Next up, Baby is stated to be the strongest mutant that surpasses Ryudo, after which he also goes on to absorb Ryudo's power, making him at least 2 times as strong as Ryudo. Even so, the characters get so strong later on that Base Pan, Base Trunks and Base Goku are all able to easily overpower Baby like he was nothing, and just toyed with him. This means that the entire GT cast at that point in the series scales above 8 times stronger than Super Vegito Low Bolt and 800 times stronger than Super Vegito High Bolt in their base forms. Even Goten in his base form was able to easily overpower Baby and toy with him, only to be caught off guard by him and infected, giving rise to possessed Goten, whose ki is a combination of Goten's and Baby's ki, meaning that he is at least twice as strong as Baby, after which he goes Super Saiyan on top, resulting in a power 100 times greater than that of Baby. A surprised Gohan, in his base form, was able to fight evenly against possessed Super Saiyan Baby, and he can go Super Saiyan on top of that, resulting in power at least 5000 times greater than that of Baby. This would be 40,000 times stronger than Super Vegito Low Bolt and 4 million times High Bolt. And then base Goku was able to easily overpower Super Saiyan Gohan. This would make Baby Saga Super Saiyan 3 Goku 16 million times stronger than Super Vegito Low Bolt and 1,600,000,000 times stronger than Super Vegito High Bolt. He then goes Golden Great Ape, which is a combination of Super Saiyan 3 and Great Ape, which would make him 10 times stronger than previously. Beyond that, Goku was stated to have continuously been gaining power beyond the additional multipliers, meaning that he was even greater than that. Baby Vegeta was able to easily beat Super Saiyan 3 Goku, after which he unlocks Super Form 1 and Super Form 2, which resemble Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3 according to the GT Perfect files. The Lair Revisited, that book, also directly supports this, with it calling Super Baby 2 a Super Saiyan 3. His performance against Goku supports this because he was doing much better against Golden Great Ape Goku, who is at the very least 10 times stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Goku, than Super Saiyan 3 Goku was doing against the initial baby Vegeta, which would imply that the form that the baby would have is more than 5 times greater than his initial form. So we can indeed say that baby Vegeta's super form 2 is indeed as strong as Super Saiyan 3, and that would make him 8 times stronger, and thus 128 million or 12 billion 800 million times stronger than Super Vegeta, depending on where we bow him. Baby Vegeta then stacks Great Ape on top of Super Form 2, and Super Saiyan 4 Goku had relative power to him and stalemated him. This would make Super Saiyan 4 Goku in the Baby Saga 1 billion 280 million times stronger than Super Vegeta Wallboat, and over 128 billion times stronger than Super Vegeta Highboat. Moving on to the Super 17 Saga, Base Goku surpasses his Super Saiyan 3 self from the Baby Saga, given how he is above Base Gohan, who scales above Majub, who is above Super Saiyan 3 Baby Saga Goku. This would make Super Saiyan 4 Goku 512 billion to 51 trillion 200 billion times stronger than Super Vegeta. During the Shadow Dragon Saga, Goku has many power boosts, but most notably is base Goku's aura growing so strong that it was able to block Omega Shenron's attacks, with Omega Shenron being 10 times stronger than Shin Shenron, and Shin Shenron being able to tank a 10 times Kamehameha from Super Saiyan 4 Goku, which is 10 times as strong as a normal Kamehameha. This would mean that Goku got at least 3,200,000 times stronger than he previously was in the Shadow Dragon Saga. This would make a Wallboat Super Saiyan 4 Goku at the end of the Shadow Dragon Saga 1 quintillion, 638 quadrillion, 400 trillion times stronger than Super Vegeta, and the Highboat Goku would be 163 quintillion, 840 quadrillion times stronger than Super Vegeta was. And this doesn't even take into account all the power boosts Goku had in this arc, because there is a case that Goku surpassed his Super Saiyan 4 self twice in this arc. The first time being against Nova Shenron, because Goku directly states that even a base form Nova Shenron was much stronger than all the previous enemies. This would include Naturon Shenron. Naturon Shenron was previously strong enough to fight Super Saiyan 4 Goku and even take a Super Saiyan 4 Goku's Kamehameha times 5, which is 5 times stronger than a normal Kamehameha. Thus we can argue that the base form Nova Shenron scales 5 times above Super Saiyan 4 Goku from earlier into the arc. And base Goku was able to quite literally keep up with Nova Shenron's base form, even being able to blast him a few times and keeping up with his speed, so we can assume that base Goku and base Nova Shenron are relative. Therefore Goku must have gotten at least 160,000 times stronger than he previously was. If we take this power boost into account, then at the end of the Shadow Dragon Saga, Super Saiyan 4 Goku would be 262 sextillion, 144 quintillion times stronger than Super Vegeta's Wallboat, and 26 septillion, 240 sextillion, 400 quintillion times stronger than Super Vegeta Highboat. Moving on, there is a very good case that the GT cast has been scaling above Raleigh since very early on, considering the fact that they've met her many times on their journey. This would put base Ryudo above Raleigh, considering the fact that Trunks states that his ki is impossibly huge, and we know that in GT, Trunks has learned how to sense Android ki, because he literally senses Android 17's ki. Thus, given the fact that he's met Raleigh, he can sense her ki as well. Just to put this into perspective, Arale was casually stalemating Super Saiyan Blue Goku while not even trying, and that was after the Future Trunks arc. It's also implied that it takes Beerus level characters to surpass Arale. But it doesn't end here, because as we've established, GT Goku has scaling to Xeno Goku and Heroes Goku, who have fought the likes of Fu and Hearts, with Fu being stated to be akin to Xeno during the Big Bang mission, and Hearts being continuously said to have a shot at killing Xeno by several characters and the narrator himself. Hearts was beaten by Heroes Gogeta, and GT Gogeta, while toying, has scaling to Xeno Gogeta, who is essentially equal to Heroes Gogeta. Therefore, GT Gogeta would not be much below Heroes Xeno, because he has a shot at killing him in a fight, given his scaling to Hearts. And Heroes Xeno, in his own regards, is much stronger than Dragon Ball Super Xeno. He has much better feats and much better scaling. And something I want to note is the fact that Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta in GT was never at full power, because he was a fusion of a tired and weakened Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta. If they were at full power when they fused, there is no question that Gogeta would have been immensely stronger. In fact, if we go by statements, we could argue that Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta was only a few dozen times stronger than a full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, which just goes to show how weakened Super Saiyan 4 Goku was at that time. This would mean that Super Saiyan 4 Goku in GT scales less than 100 times below Xeno Gogeta and Heroes Gogeta, who are in the realm where they can potentially kill Xeno. And remember, Goku never goes Super Saiyan 4 after fusion, which means that the statement would be in reference to his full power pre-fusion. And we established that by the time of the Spirit Bomb, Goku's power grew so strong that in his base form he surpasses his Super Saiyan 4 self, and with the Super Saiyan 4 multiplier on top of that, he should be able to easily wash even Heroes Zeno. Now, moving on to Super Goku, Super Saiyan God Goku was able to put a better fight against Beerus than Gohan and Gotenks. Although in Super Gohan was rusty and was unable to use his ultimate form, and for whatever reason, Gotenks only used his base form. But if we were to turn to the movie, Beerus was able to easily overpower Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, who is essentially a bit stronger than Super Buu. While there is the argument that Super Saiyan God Goku should be stronger than Super Vegito given the fact that Goku didn't think that fusion would be enough, that's an incredibly iffy argument given the fact that fusion is consistently shown to provide a greater multiplier than God. And despite Goku saying that fusion may not be enough to beat Beerus, remember that Super Saiyan God Goku was also nowhere near enough to beat Beerus. Beyond that, Goku and Vegeta's combined intellect was unable to comprehend Vegeta's power and believe it, meaning that it's beyond the imagination of both Goku and Vegeta combined. But even if we were to accept that Super Saiyan God Goku would have been stronger than a hypothetical Battle of Gods arc Vegito, that doesn't mean much because Goku in Battle of Gods is said to be rusty, and Beerus even implies that base Goku is weaker than Frieza was on Namek, with Goku not objecting to that whatsoever. It took Goku going Super Saiyan for Beerus to know that he has surpassed Frieza. This is really embarrassing because in contrast, Buu Saga Goku has scaling above Piccolo, who is above the androids, who are much stronger than Frieza, possibly in the dozens of times. This would essentially affect the dance as well, as Vegeta would have to lower his power level to match Goku's. And if we go by manga statements, we know that there is a rival boost to Potara, and ever since the Buu Saga, Goku and Vegeta's rivalry has tamed a lot, with Vegeta becoming more accepting of being behind Goku, although still retaining some of that desire to surpass him. What this entails is that after the Buu Saga, they would no longer be getting that extra rival boost, or at least not to the same extent that they did in the boost, and would be less effective and weaker, on top of Goku already being rusty. Therefore, there is absolutely no evidence that a Battle of Gods arc fusion would have been anywhere near the level of a Buu Saga fusion. Moving on, Goku unlocks Super Saiyan Blue, which is a Super Saiyan God that turns Super Saiyan, or a Saiyan with the power of Super Saiyan God turning Super Saiyan, one of the two. This would mean that if we highball Super Saiyan Blue Goku in Resurrection F, he would be 50 times stronger than Super Saiyan God Goku was in the Battle of Gods arc. The reason I'm saying that this is a highball is because Super Saiyan God Goku was never base Goku plus Super Saiyan God alone, he was base Goku plus the energy of the Saiyans, which is a temporary power boost plus Super Saiyan God. There is no proof that this was a permanent power boost, and in fact if we go off Dragon Ball, these are always temporary power boosts that go away once you use up the energy someone gave you. So there is a possibility that Goku is actually less than 50 times stronger than he was in Battle of Gods arc. If we turn to the movies, which are written directly by Toriyama, this is actually consistent because Super Saiyan Blue Goku in Resurrection F was not even 2 times stronger than Battle of Gods arc Goku was in the movie. And no, Goku did not surpass his Super Saiyan God self in his base form. The movies, Toriyama, the guides, and the anime all make it very clear that Goku has instead attained a godly essence state, which is different from his mortal state he's usually in. And that in this godly state, he is the equivalent of going Super Saiyan God without transforming, and adding Super Saiyan on top of this godly state results in Super Saiyan Blue. All this is to say that the godly essence form scales above Goku's mortal forms, which includes Super Saiyan 2, and Super Saiyan 3, and even Toriyama suggests that if Goku in Battle of Gods arc tries to go Super Saiyan God while using the godly essence form, there won't be any difference to his strength, meaning that this is indeed a different form from his normal base form. Goku's mortal base forms are shown getting a huge power boost in result to going Super Saiyan God, which confirms that there are two separate states, one with godly essence and one without godly essence. In fact, in Resurrection F, before attaining Super Saiyan Blue, Beerus directly states that Goku and Vegeta are so weak that they aren't even worth playing with. In contrast, Super Saiyan God Goku was able to provide Beerus so much entertainment and fun that Beerus verbatim calls him a friend because of all the fun they had. This directly suggests that Super Saiyan God Goku is stronger than Resurrection F Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, and if you want more in-depth explanations on this and analysis, go to my video explaining why base form is not stronger than Super Saiyan God. Moving on to the Universe 6 arc, Goku's base form is hinted to be below Buu Saga Super Saiyan 2 level, with Piccolo being implied to be weaker than Good Buu, who is more than 2 times weaker than Fat Buu, and that same Piccolo outperforming base Goku against Frost. Furthermore, we don't know if Goku's base form grew significantly stronger since Resurrection F, especially since in that arc even Vegeta notes that more training will not do much since they are nearing their limits. But with the Kaioken times 10 on top of Super Saiyan Blue, Goku would possibly be 500 times stronger than Super Buu. As a final note for this arc, Dragon Ball officially acknowledges that Z Vegeta was actually stronger than Universe 6 arc Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta, with Vegeta casually overpowering them even after they went full power. You are free to headcanon that Goku was stronger than Vegeta in Battle of Gods arc, but unfortunately you're wrong. Just saying, you're officially acknowledged to be wrong by Dragon Ball. Moving on to the Copy Vegeta and Future Trunks arc, there are once again no concrete significant power boosts that Goku and Vegeta get. We do have base Copy Vegeta beating up Rusty Gotenks, but this is not the same Gotenks as the one we saw in Z, given the fact that Goten is rusty, isn't allowed to train, and we even see the difference in sheer speed compared to Buu Saga Gotenks and Resurrection F or Super Gotenks. Further, we could argue that this was a Godly State Goku and Godly State Copy Vegeta, and not Mortal Base Form Goku and Vegeta, and therefore this doesn't even matter. There is also the argument that Goku and Vegeta were doing okay against merged Zamasu, but this was a heavily suppressed Zamasu given that he didn't power up until after Goku and Vegeta were about to turn into Vegeto, and it makes no sense to say that they are merged Zamasu level given the fact that Goku and Vegeta just prior were struggling with Goku Black and the Daizenshu, and even that Super Anime confirmed that they no longer get Zenkai boosts. In between this arc and the final arc of Super, we have Super Saiyan Goku struggling with Super Saiyan Gohan, and this Gohan is confirmed to be weaker than he was in the Buu Saga, meaning that Ultimate Gohan is stronger than Super Saiyan Goku even this point into the series. Moving on to the Tournament of Power, judging from his fights against Piccolo, Gohan manages to surpass his Super Saiyan form from the time he fought Vander in his base form, and base Goku could put a fight against him. This would entail that Goku and Gohan both got over 50 times stronger than previously, and Goku can also now use Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20 now. Taking these numbers into account, Goku at full power before Ultra Instinct would be over 50,000 times stronger than Super Buu. And after unlocking Ultra Instinct, Goku can match Jiren, who is said to have surpassed the likes of merged Zamasu and potentially Vegito Blue. Since Potara is confirmed to be more than 400 times boost in the Daizenshu, then Vegito Blue would be at least 400 times stronger than Super Saiyan Blue Goku was in the Future Trunks arc, who is at least 50 times stronger than Super Buu. And putting in these values, we get a power of 20,000 times greater than Super Buu. Not as impressive as the previous scaling method, so we'll stick to that one. We also know that Goku and Vegeta's base forms even in the Tournament of Power are quite weak, as Vegeta in his base form struggled against Lavender and many characters including Vegeta himself acknowledged that he would have lost at that rate, with Vegeta being forced to turn into a Super Saiyan. The same Lavender lost to a Gohan that was weaker than Buu Saga Ultimate Gohan. Base Goku is also unable to one-shot the likes of Basil and Lavender and is getting hurt by them, with Basil being below Good Buu and being one-shotted by his Kamehameha, and Lavender being below Ultimate Gohan. This would entail that Base Goku, as far as the Tournament of Power, is still within the Buu Saga ranges of power. Super Saiyan Caulifla also struggled with Nappa, who hardly managed to block attacks from Basil, who got owned by Good Buu, who remember is more than 2 times weaker than Fat Buu was, and Fat Buu was weaker than Super Saiyan 3 Goku. The same Caulifla has scaling above Super Saiyan Kaba, who has scaling to Universe 6 arc Super Saiyan Vegeta. This is consistent with Piccolo, who is weaker than Good Buu, outperforming Base Goku against Frost. All of this is consistent with Legends, where Base Goku during episode 131 gets teleported to another place where he fights Super Buu and Cell, and he gets completely swapped up by them. So basically, if you put Super Buu against Rick and Jiren during episode 131, he would have put a better performance than Goku, Final Form Frieza, and Rick and 17 put. And yes, androids can get weaker if they take damage regardless of stamina. We see that with Cell, who has infinite stamina as well, so let that sink in. More proof that Saiyans can't get Zekai boosts in Super is the fact that Belmont is shocked to see Vegeta's ki increased past what it was before, and he questions how could Vegeta's ki just increase like that. This implies that until that point Vegeta had not received a single power-up in the Tournament of Power, and this is a charged Final Flash, by the way. This isn't his regular power getting stronger, and since Goku and Vegeta were relative in power at that point in time, judging from their fights against Toppo, we can conclude that Goku himself didn't get any stronger as well, since Vegeta was keeping up with him against Jiren. And that same Vegeta we established hasn't gotten a single power boost from the start of the Tournament of Power, meaning that Goku too wouldn't have gotten any power boosts, or else he would have surpassed Vegeta by a long shot. This is consistent with 17 during the final battle, being able to somewhat keep up with Kaioken level 1 Goku and Evolution Blue Vegeta, not being completely destroyed by a Jiren that was still suppressing his power at that point in time against them. And this 17 is shown to be weaker than Toppo, who is about as strong as early Tournament of Power Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. So this entails that even at the final episodes of the Tournament of Power, besides getting new forms, they didn't get any stronger than they were at the start of the Tournament of Power. We also know that even by the time of the Broly movie, they didn't get much stronger, as with Ultra Instinct, Goku reached the level of Gods of Destruction, surpassing the likes of Belmont. Vegeta was also able to beat Toppo, who is stated to be no different from a God of Destruction, using Evolution Blue. And in the Broly movie, Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta are confirmed to be below the level of a god, which would entail that Belmont is stronger than them, along with Ultra Instinct Goku. There is also no contradiction to this, as Goku is unable to use Ultra Instinct after the Tournament of Power, so it makes sense for him to be weaker. This is supported by both Xenoverse and Legends, because in Xenoverse, Tournament of Power Jiren is able to keep up with Broly, who absolutely demolished Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta, and in Legends, Ultra Instinct Goku is implied to be stronger than Broly was. We could also make the argument that they didn't even get 1.5 times greater than they were in Tournament of Power as far as their base forms go, considering the fact that Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken level 1 is stated to be on par with Super Saiyan Blue Evolution as a form, and Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta, as we established, defeated Toppo, who is God of Destruction level. And we've established that Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta in the Broly movie are below the level of a god, meaning below the level of Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta from the Tournament of Power, meaning that they are weaker also than Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku from the Tournament of Power, and therefore their base forms would have barely gotten any stronger. So overall, Goku's minimal scale would be 50,000 times stronger than Super Blue, and the numbers speak for itself. As far as chain scaling goes, GT is just much stronger. As a bonus, I want to take time to compare Super Saiyan 4 as a transformation compared to Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue. The Chunzenshu calls Super Saiyan the ultimate Saiyan form, despite also including Super Saiyan God in it, suggesting that Super Saiyan 4 is greater than God. In Xenoverse, we also have an alternative story, in which instead of attaining Super Saiyan Blue, Resurrection F, Goku and Vegeta unlock Super Saiyan 4 instead. Upon achieving it, they are amazed at how powerful it is, stating that this power is something entirely else, and even stating that this must be the true God form, which means that this form is stronger than Super Saiyan God. That same episode, Super Saiyan 4 Resurrection F Goku fights against his future self, a Goku from after the Universe 6 arc that is Super Saiyan Blue, and is able to fight equally against him. This implies that despite having a weaker base, Super Saiyan 4 as a form is strong enough to close the gap between himself and his future self. This would make Super Saiyan 4 stronger than Super Saiyan Blue as a form. Beyond that, they are shown to be able to damage with a Super Saiyan Force in Resurrection F, and this is insane because not even Broly, who was swiping the floor with Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta from the Broly movie, was able to touch Whis or leave a scratch on him. This would make Super Saiyan 4 exponentially stronger than Super Saiyan Blue to the point where it boosts Resurrection F Goku and Vegeta beyond their Broly movie counterparts. And in that same mission, Resurrection F Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is implied to be greater than the likes of Merged Zamasu and Vegito Blue, because the Time Patroller is stated to have absolutely no chance of defeating him, even though that same Time Patroller has previously fought and defeated Merged Zamasu. So overall, going by Xenoverse, Super Saiyan 4 absolutely destroys Super Saiyan Blue. In fact, we can argue that Super Saiyan 4 is over 50 times stronger than Super Saiyan Blue, given the fact that once again, it boosted them beyond their Broly movie counterparts. And at this point, there is a good case that Super Saiyan 4 is actually on par, if not greater than Ultra Instinct as a transformation, given the fact that Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20 Goku was able to somewhat keep up with Jiren, and even had Jiren be afraid of his Kamehameha and dodge it, and in the Spirit Bomb struggle, Jiren actually struggled with Goku a bit in the TV version. While Ultra Instinct was clearly stronger than Kaioken times 20 Goku, it wasn't by all that much, given the fact that it wasn't able to overpower that same Jiren. So overall, it's not that much greater than 20 times Super Saiyan Blue. And this is really interesting because in the arcade version of Dragon Ball Heroes, Super Saiyan 4 actually provides a higher power boost than Ultra Instinct. Furthermore, in Dragon Ball Fighter Z, it's directly stated that Super Saiyan 4 is greater than Super Saiyan Blue and Ultra Instinct. Now, if we were to go by the Dragon Ball Heroes manga instead, we have the fact that Xenogoku and Heroes Goku fought, and they were even in pretty much all their mortal forms, base form, Super Saiyan 4, Super Saiyan 3 form. However, once the evolutionary split happens and it is Super Saiyan 4 against Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan 4 overpowers Super Saiyan God, forcing Goku to go Super Saiyan Blue, at which point Super Saiyan 4 seems to have a bit of an upper hand, but they were close to each other. However, it is possible that Super Saiyan Blue Goku from Heroes was using Kaioken, nothing contradicts that, so there is absolutely no evidence that this was simply a pure Super Saiyan Blue and nothing beyond that. We already know from the Tournament of Power that Goku can use Super Saiyan Blue with Kaioken 20 stacked on top of it without having the Kaioken aura. We didn't even know he was using Kaioken until it was stated by Krillin and Whis. In fact, there is more merit to assume that he used Kaioken here because it's more consistent with everything else we know, and Heroes itself tells us that Super Saiyan 4 provides a greater raw power boost than Ultra Instinct. Now, there is also the fact that later into the fight, Super Saiyan 4 was able to quash with Ultra Instinct, which further supports this. Of course, that was a Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4, not a regular Super Saiyan 4. However, judging from the Janemba fight, we know that Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 hardly provides a power boost that is greater than the regular Super Saiyan 4 state, because Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta even before unlocking Limit Breaker were able to somewhat keep up with Janemba, yet as Limit Breakers they were still unable to beat him and needed to combine their power to be able to damage him. So yeah, if we were to look at them as forms, Super Saiyan 4 is greater than God, Blue, and possibly Ultra Instinct. And you're welcome to make headcanons up, you're welcome to claim that Super Saiyan God is much greater than Super Saiyan 4 as a multiplier, but this is based on nothing. There is absolutely nothing officially acknowledging that God is stronger than Super Saiyan 4. There is nothing acknowledging that Blue is stronger than Super Saiyan 4 officially, and there is nothing acknowledging that Ultra Instinct is greater than Super Saiyan 4 officially. Once again, Dragon Ball officially acknowledges that you're wrong if you think that. Dragon Ball officially acknowledges that Super Saiyan 4 is greater than God, Blue, and possibly Ultra Instinct. Now that we've talked about crossverse and inverse methods of scaling, I want to take time to take this from a different lens. I want to look at water-related reasons for why one should be stronger than another. One might say that looking at it logically, Super Saiyan God Goku should be stronger because he's, well, a god. But that's far from the truth actually. Ever since OG Dragon Ball, it's been made very clear that being a god in Dragon Ball means nothing other than you having a title. Because Kami at the time was incredibly strong, he was like Beerus, and yet he was very quickly surpassed by Goku and Piccolo Jr. Throughout Z, we also see the Kaioshins being surpassed. And most lately in Heroes, we see that even the likes of Zeno have been surpassed by mortals. In Dragon Ball Super, we also constantly see mortal characters such as Frieza and Gohan catching up to and surpassing Goku and Vegeta in one way or another through training and without any God Ki or God forms. Now I want you to imagine how strong the GT counterparts of Frieza and Gohan would be with their dozens of years of training, because yes, they never stopped training. Frieza trained in Hell, and the GT Perfect files directly confirm that Gohan, even in times of peace, never slacked off of his training. And that same Gohan was nothing to GT Goku. GT Goku has over a decade more training than Super Goku, and that's massive. Of course, there is the quote that Super Goku trained with gods, but this means very little considering the fact that characters that don't train with gods, have no god ki and no god forms, can easily catch up to and outright surpass Goku and Vegeta. In fact, there is one very overlooked scene in the Dragon Ball Super anime where Whis directly states that if Goku and Vegeta were to train by themselves without him, they would actually get greater results than if they continue to train with him. If that's not enough, at the end of GT, Goku fuses with the Dragon Balls and ascends to a higher plane of existence. This is consistent with Masako Nozawa stating that Goku has ascended to the realm of the Dragon Gods, and with GT Goku becoming seemingly immortal and spiritual by the end of the show. Even the writers from GT stating that Goku suffered something different. It's death, but a different kind of death from the one we know in Dragon Ball. So he didn't go to the afterlife, he went to an even higher plane of existence. So even as far as 4 goes, GT Goku has every advantage over Super Goku. And finally, we have our very last segment of the video, which is going to focus on official implication on who is stronger. This may include sources like Heroes, Xenoverse, Legends, and so on. As we've discussed, GT Goku has scaling over Xeno Gogeta and in turn scaling over Heroes Xeno, with the likes of Pan having scaling over base Xeno Gogeta. Another thing to note is that in Xenoverse 2, Chronoa requests help from multiple different timelines to defeat Merged Zamasu. Basically, when Trunks does his Spirit Bomb sword, he collects energy from fighters from across multiple timelines. This included base GT Goku, base Trunks, and base Pan. This means that the GT trio has knowledge of the future Trunks that defeated Zamasu and merged Zamasu, and therefore they also know how strong they are because Trunks doesn't have Gatki and they can sense him. We don't know exactly at which point in GT they're from, but we know that it's after episode 1 because Goku is a kid, and we know that it's before the Super 17 saga because after the Super 17 saga, right after it, the Shadow Dragons appear and their minus energy changes the background of the Earth, and this is not reflected here. So there are two options here, either this is between episode 1 and episode 2 or between the Baby Saga and the Super 17 saga. If it was before the Super 17 saga, then this is real big because it would mean that Ryudo is stronger than the likes of Merged Zamasu and Trunks from Dragon Ball Super, because Ryudo had an impossibly large ki according to them, and therefore this sensed the future Trunks that kept up with Merged Zamasu. If it's after the Super 17 saga, it's a bit more iffy, but that should still upscale the likes of Nova Shenron and Omega Shenron, given the fact that they were supposed to be the strongest enemies up until that point, they were supposed to be on another level, and they were above anything prior. Now we can move on to Legends, which has some very interesting scaling. Exhausted and weakened Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta after fighting Omega Shenron and then fighting Nova and Tails again on top of that, are able to keep up with Merged Zamasu and damage him. This is really interesting because Merged Zamasu managed to tank a final Kamehameha from Vegito Blue and even managed to scare Vegito Blue into dodging his attacks out of fear. This implies that Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta, even though severely weakened and way more weakened than they were in GT, are comparable to, if not outright stronger than Vegito Blue was. Once they fuse into Gogeta, they are stated to be able to defeat Merge Zamasu by both Gogeta himself and Vegito Blue, who agreed to that, and Gogeta even states that he will only need one finger to beat Merge Zamasu, which really shows how much stronger Gogeta is than Vegito Blue.
One finger is all I need to take you down.
This would put severely weakened Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta from the Shadow Dragon Saga above Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta from the Future Trunks arc, and quite possibly above Vegito Blue himself from the Future Trunks arc, given their performance against Merge Zamasu. We also see that Omega Shenron, while holding back and not powered up, is able to easily swap up DBS Trunks, who on his own regard is able to keep up with Rose Black and later Merge Zamasu, therefore placing Omega Shenron well severely suppressed above Merge Zamasu. In Xenoverse 2 we also have a mission where a weakened baby Saga Vegeta that had just woken up from being beaten up fights post-Tournament of Power Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. Even as a Super Saiyan alone, GT Vegeta is able to put up a fight against Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, and Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta even directly states that GT Gogeta is not completely washed up. This is further implied by Kaba, who, upon observing the fight, states that the power of both Vegetas is out of this world. This would imply their energy is above anything he's seen up until that point, which would include Kefla, who is able to kill Ultra Instinct Goku in one shot. Therefore, a weakened Super Saiyan Baby Saga Vegeta would scale above Ultra Instinct Goku. During the fight, Vegeta learns how to transform into Super Saiyan 4 without a tail or the machine, in turn resulting in a hypothetical Baby Saga Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. This is verbatim the first time he's ever seen the form, which is how we know that this is at best Vegeta during the Baby Saga, and possibly Vegeta even prior to the Baby Saga. Regardless, the power of this hypothetical Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta from the Baby Saga or prior is so strong that it forces Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta into turning into Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta. This directly implies that Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta was stronger than Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta post the Tournament of Power arc, and in fact, after fighting for a while, Evolution Blue Vegeta even goes on to say that Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta's power is a power that any Saiyan would be proud to have, which would obviously include himself and even Goku. So therefore we can conclude that the Baby Saga Super Saiyan 4, or perhaps even prior to the Baby Saga Super Saiyan 4, can already match Evolution Blue post the Tournament of Power, which should be much stronger than Tournament of Power Super Saiyan Blue Evolution. And there is the fact that at that point in GT, base Goku scales at least over 50 times above base Vegeta, given the fact that he defeated Super Saiyan Gohan, who has scaling to Super Saiyan Vegeta. That would mean that Baby Saga base Goku is stronger than the Vegeta whose power Kaba said is out of this world and therefore should be greater than Kefla's. Also the Vegeta that managed to keep up with Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, and Vegeta himself acknowledges that he is not washed up in the fight. This is consistent because in Xenoverse 2 we also have a unique interaction between Beerus and Shadow Dragon Saga Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, in which Beerus directly states that Vegeta has grown so strong that he may be able to even beat him in a fight, therefore putting GT Vegeta above Beerus, who has scaling to Ultra Instinct Goku. It also puts him above the likes of Broly Movie Goku and Vegeta because they're verbatim below the level of Guts. If we dig deeper into Xenoverse 2 scaling, we can also find a very interesting statement about how early Resurrection F Goku and Vegeta were too weak to handle Super Saiyan 4, their bodies were too weak for it, and they didn't reach a level where they can unlock Super Saiyan 4 until they went into Whis' stuff. This puts them below the likes of Baby Saga base Goku, who had no issue turning into Super Saiyan 4. And as we've mentioned earlier, hypothetical Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta were able to put damage on Whis, making them stronger than Broly Movie Goku and Vegeta, and Broly himself. In fact, the energy of those hypothetical Resurrection F Super Saiyan 4s was stated to be so strong that Fu can't even believe that the Time Patroller and Future Goku were able to fight them off. As we've said, the Time Patroller has previously fought Merged Zamasu. So with that you can imagine just how powerful the real Super Saiyan 4 Goku would have been in the Baby Saga. But there is something within Xenoverse 2 that provides us with a much bigger power gap, and that is the fact that in one of the DLCs, Fu takes Movie 8 Broly and teleports him to Earth shortly before the events of the movie. So this is essentially Toyverse Movie 8 Z Fighters against Toyverse Movie 8 Broly. In this DLC, Goku is able to fight against that Broly, take attacks from him. The reason this is so massive is because that version of Broly is directly stated by Chronoa to be the strongest version of Broly she's ever seen, and that comes after the Broly movie DLC, the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie DLC, meaning that she's already seen Dragon Ball Super Broly. Now, it's noteworthy that this version of Broly was powered up by Food to an extent, however, it wasn't that much of an extent given the fact that Goku was able to fight him and take attacks from him and even damage him with his Kamehameha. So that would mean that Toyverse Goku during the Android saga is strong enough to damage somebody stronger than Dragon Ball Super's version of Broly. The same Broly that managed to easily defeat Super Saiyan Blue, Goku and Vegeta, and on top of that, that same Broly managed to fight against Full Power Jiren, who was able to hold his own against Master Ultra Instinct Goku and outlast him. Essentially, this version of Movie 8 Broly powered up by Fu isn't much above his Movie 8 self, and yet he is above Master Ultra Instinct Goku. And Goku from Movie 8 is so strong that he can take on him and damage him, even if he ended up losing, naturally. This tells us that the Toyverse continuity is so much stronger than the Super continuity and the canon continuity that even the Super Saiyan Goku from around the Cell Saga is already stronger than the likes of Master Ultra Instinct Goku. That's how strong the Toyverse continuity actually is. But despite all this proof, all these direct statements and defeats, there is something far more direct that we can use, because in Fighter Z, Gohan states that the energy of Super Saiyan 4 is so strong he's never seen anything this powerful, and that it surpasses the likes of Ultra Instinct. This would mean that GT Gogeta, who is a fusion of Rick and Goku and Vegeta, is still so powerful that he is above the likes of Beerus and Champa, who Gohan has seen fighting, and is also above the power Zeno demonstrated to kill all of the gods and the participants of the Tournament of Power, since Gohan has directly observed Zeno wiping out entire teams and gods. So yeah, this pretty much confirms that GT Gogeta easily solves the gods, it's not even a question at this point. Now, with the release of Sparking Zero, we also got a few unique interactions in which Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta from the Broly movie directly states that Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is a worthy opponent, which debunks any claim that Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta isn't anywhere near Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta in terms of power. But given all the things we already have, this is already a no-brainer. This is just me giving out even more stuff to use. Now, given Goku's relativity to Vegeta in the Broly movie, this would mean that Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is bare minimum relative to Super Saiyan Blue Goku of this statement alone, without accounting any of the evidence we have other than this. And since GT Goku's base form surpasses Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta by many times, that would mean that base GT Goku scales above Super Saiyan Blue Goku from the Broly movie, and in turn with Super Saiyan forms he would absolutely wash Ultra Instinct Goku, easily. So just off this single statement alone, without using any of the other things we have, any of the other things we've discussed, GT Goku can be concluded to be stronger than Super Goku, just off this single statement alone. This is further backed up by Sparking Zero, in which Baby Vegeta had no issue keeping up with Tournament of Power Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta's speed and power, and the same Baby Vegeta got blitzed and foderized by Baby Saga Super Saiyan 4 Goku. So without using anything else, once again, just using this trailer as singular piece of evidence, we can conclude that GT Goku destroys Super Goku, because once again, Ultra Instinct is not much above Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20, and base Goku in the Shadow Dragon Saga has scaling over his Super Saiyan 4 self from the Baby Saga, thus giving base Goku from the Shadow Dragon Saga scaling over Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta and Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken level 1 Goku, and thus with Super Saiyan alone, he would be above Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 50 Goku, who should be stronger, or at least relative to Ultra Instinct Goku. Finally, we have a quiz from Crunchyroll, which is an officially licensed site. In this quiz, they basically ask you questions to determine which Dragon Ball transformation suits you best. And each result comes with its own unique description, and the description for Super Saiyan 4 Goku directly states that even beings with God Ki stand no chance against you, and even Whis is afraid of your attack power, putting GT Goku above the likes of God of Destruction level and Whis. Now, the funny thing is that in all of my attempts I never managed to get Super Saiyan 4 as a result, which leads me to believe that Super Saiyan 4 may not even be something you can get on the quiz. However, the quiz also has two questions which have specifically two GT related answers, so surely Super Saiyan 4 must be in there. For starter, it would be very weird to not include Super Saiyan 4 given how popular it was, especially if you have GT related questions. I personally messaged the person who created the quiz to ask him if Super Saiyan 4 is something you can get and whether this is some description seen in the quiz. However, I never managed to get a response. So this is something you can take with a grain of salt. Now, there is absolutely nothing to suggest that this is fake. People say that they got Super Saiyan 4 with very specific answers. However, since I never personally got Super Saiyan 4 and can verify this for sure, I cannot say that this is 100%. So this is an argument you may wanna use, but also something that I personally haven't verified. Now, I would appreciate it if you like this video and share it, because the more you share it, the more we spread awareness of GT scaling. I do have to say that this script was written in late 2023, although I did add one extra point which came after the script was written, which is the Xenoverse Broly DLC, which I talked about. This was one thing that I added after the script was written, but everything else was written in late 2023, and it's good that it's finally coming out, because some of these arguments I've kept hidden. In the meantime, a lot of people have started waking up to GT Goku's power, and some people even make videos on why GT Goku is stronger than Super Goku. And with that out of the way, see ya.